regarding Chapter 5, Building Analysis of the Principle of Appraisal. So, when it comes to building analysis, we need accurate information on the condition and the functionality of the main residence building, and and that is usually done through the cost and direct comparison approach. Now, should this appraiser see something in or about the house that is unusual for the area, he should also investigate further to find out whether there is any value impact. Only the marketplace can confirm whether there has been a value impact, and usually that requires a study of the sales and listing on the data. So whether information has been collected on the subject property should, should be collected on the comparables used in either the direct cost, direct or direct comparison approach, or the cost approach. Now the first point to consider is the information. In order to evaluate a value on the subject property, we will need to collect as much relevant information as possible on the subject property, that is the improvement on the site as opposed to the improvement to the site. It is important to stress that collecting information, while very important in itself, is only part of the process of being able to estimate the value. There is also the need for the analysis of information, come to a conclusion as to the impact, and then support the conclusion by obtaining evidence from the marketplace of sales listing and expired listing. Information to consider: general data, construction data, equipment and system data, functional criteria, building areas and size. In addition, there is economic life of the building, remaining economic life, actual age, effective age, and over improvements. The first is the general data. General data relates to such item as the chronological age of the structure, its square footage, type and style of the building, general conditions, etc. Construction data considers block foundation, considers the block foundation over a poured concrete foundation, wood framing versus steel framing, brick veneer versus siding, asphalt shingles versus other type of roofing. Equipment and system data relates to the electrical, plumbing, heating, ventilation, air conditioning, built-in vacuum, built-in intercom, built-in security systems, water treatment systems, sprinkler systems, cable, telephone, smart wiring systems, and other systems that may be in the structure. Functional criterion relates to the appeal, utility, popularity, and performance of the building and its component compared to other buildings and their component. For example, the floor plan and suite in a master bedroom as opposed to no ensuite, hardwood floors as opposed to carpeting, combined kitchen family room as opposed to kitchen with an eating area, old octopus furnace as opposed to the high efficiency furnace. Building area and size. For appraisal purposes, the measurement of the size area of the subject and compared property should be calculated from the dimensions of the exterior, and only those areas that are completely finished and 100% above the ground level. Living areas above the ground that are not finished should still be measured but needs to be separated from the final measurement of the house size. In practice, you would measure the ground floor from the exterior and then multiply by the number of levels above ground. In some cases, then depending on the local customs, the type of building, you may need to deviate from the above instruction. If you do deviate, then make sure you measure the subject building and the comparable building in the same way, and make note in the appraisal as to how you calculated the building size, how you measured, and what was and what was not included. Economic life of a building, the period over which the improvements to the site contribute to the value of the property as a whole. The economic life of a structure refers to the amount of time that a structure, from the day it is built, would be used or habitable given no renovation, updating, or modernization over a time period. Most appraisers would use 50 to 60 years as a rule of thumb for physical economic life. In reality, economic life is estimated by looking or researching how long the building similar to the subject in the same neighborhood has remained livable, useful, or valuable before they had to be renovated or modernized or demolished. Remaining economic life. The estimated number of years remaining on the economic life of a building as from the effective date of appraisal. You can extend the remaining life of a building without changing the economic life by renovating or modernizing it. Actual age. The actual number of years that have passed since the structure has been built, also referred to as the chronological age. The actual age of a structure must be differentiated from the effective age for the appraisal purposes. Effective age. Effective age is a years based on the amount of care and attention a building has received. Care and attention should include innovation and modernization. If a building have had has been better than average maintenance, its effective age may be less than its actual age. If the building has been inadequately inadequate maintenance, it may be greater. A 40-year-old building may have an effective age of 20 years due to the rehabilitation or modernization. So there could be an there could be over improvements. The placement of the improvement on the property that are excessive and consequently inconsistent with the overall size, quality, and appearance of other improvements within the general vicinity. An example would be the construction of a large existing home within a neighborhood consisting exclusively of smaller detached older bungalows. The cost of home improvement property may not be reflected in the market value as determined by the average buyer by an average buyer ready willing to acquire the property. So to recap, the economic life is equal to the effective age. Economic life is equal to effective age plus the remaining economic life. So effective age is equal to economic life minus remaining economic life. Remaining economic life. So economic life is equal to effective age plus the remaining economic life. Economic life equals effective age plus the remaining economic life. Collecting information. The information needed to complete evaluation is collected in two ways from written and verbal sources like owners and the completed SPIS, previous inspection reports, previous listing, neighbors surveys, and architectural drawing. Observation from a physical inspection. In Chapter 4, we looked at collecting information on the site. However, we are now looking at the interiors and exteriors of the building. And on the site and its exterior improvements, with respect to using the SPIS, the owners are expected to answer such questions as have you made any renovations, addition, improvements to the property, and was the building permit obtained? Is the fireplace in working order? Are you aware of any problems with the plumbing system? The answer to these questions are important. If the fireplace is not working, then there may be negative impact on the value as compared to a comparable home where fireplaces in the working order. Effectively, if renovations were done to a subject property or the necessary permits were not obtained, this may result in the subject not being as valuable as comparable property with the same renovations, but with the building permit having been obtained. The point here is that because of physical inspection, no matter how careful, may not reveal this information. It is important to have the owner complete the statement and sign it. Previous listings may indicate the presence of UFI, and neighbors may note about basement flooding, roof damage, insect or rodent infestation, and or UFI installation. Physical inspection. It is very important to be important part. This is a very important part of the valuation process. Inspection needs to be done in a methodological manner and should not be rushed during the inspection. Look at each part and the component of the building in terms of both physical and functional contribution to the property. When looking at an item or component physically, you are comparing the condition of the item as seen on the date of inspection as compared to the condition of other item when it was brand new. For example, suppose on the date of inspection you find a 4-year-old vinyl tile flooring that has deteriorated with cracks, holes, and general fading. Clearly, this deterioration is physical and would not have been present when it was installed. Based on the observation, the physical condition of the vinyl is probably be rated as poor. While looking at an item of a home functionally, you are comparing the performance, quality, appeal, or the style of the components commonly used in the houses at, as at the date of appraisal. Suppose on the date of inspection, the subject has an old gravity furnace. However, majority of similar homes in the area have high efficiency gas furnace. Generally, the octopus furnace would be rated as functionally poor even if it is in an excellent physical condition. It is important to understand the difference between physical condition of a home as opposed to the functional condition. So again, to recap, any item will be physically good but functionally poor. Physically refers to the condition of the item, such as brand new item. Functional refers to the performance, quality, appeal, and popularity. Comparison has to be made in similar properties in the neighborhood. A new 60 amp circuit breaker would be physically good but functionally poor because normally 100 amps to 200 amps are common. So let's look at the possible questions to ask. Now, how do you ensure that you have the necessary information required to accurately estimate the value of the property? The only way of ensuring you have the necessary information is by asking the right questions. What are the right questions? So let's look at some examples. Like 3 years ago, when a subject property had 300 square foot family room extension added without a permit, does the extension comply with the buildings and zoning regulation? How easy was it to get a permit and how much will it cost? What are the chances that the city might require that the extension be removed if it does not comply, or that the city might require costly works to be done in order for the property to comply? If the extension does not comply with the buildings and zoning regulations, what will be the impact on bias reaction and the value if the extension had to be demolished or at least some work is required to ensure its compliance? So the situation could be that the subject property furnace is leased and is not owned. Is leasing a furnace common for the area? What are the lease terms? If it is common, what is the value impact and the bias reaction to the furnace being leased as opposed to owned? If it is not common, what is the value impact and the bias reaction to furnace being leased as opposed to owned? The situation could be the subject electrical system has aluminum wiring. The question to ask: what is the condition of the wiring? Has have any special components like connectors, susceptible, circuit breaker, designated CUL or COLR been installed? Is there a stigma attached to the presence of aluminum wiring? Even if the wiring is safe, what will the value impact and the bioreaction to the presence of the wiring in the subject property? Now you want to get the professionals to help the reality check. If the physical inspection, in the physical if the physical inspection you notice a problem or suspect something is wrong, it is important to identify the cause and extent of the problem as well as the impact on the value or that the problem is going to have, whether it's corrected or left as is. Appraisals or salespersons are not trained building or home inspectors, and it's crucial that, not to guess the cause, nature, and an extent of the suspected problem. Always advise owners to seek professional assistance such as a home inspector or structural engineer depending on the problem. request a report on what the problem is, what is the cause, what is the damage, and further damage it can do. The solution is to the problem and the cost of the solution. The information will assist in identifying and measuring the possible impact on the value. So to recap, there are a number of different categories of information that needs to be collected on the building. That is the general data, construction data, etc. It's important to be able to estimate the economic life and the effective age of the building. In general, the economic life is equal to effective age plus the remaining years earnings or remaining economic life. The actual age is different from effective age, can be smaller or larger, um, based on the kind of maintenance the building has been receiving. An inspection of a building requires the appraiser to be consider both its physical condition and its functionality. The appraiser needs to be aware of the environmental and construction issues, concerns that may affect the appeal and the value of the property. Information must not only be collected on the subject property but also on the comparables to be used in each of the projects to value. Chattels may also need to be considered in the valuation of the property. A property may be over improved in terms of the size and quality of those improvements, and this has implication on its value. The number of sources from which the information can be obtained with respect to the subject property. Direct comparison approach. I think with this we are done with the building analysis. Thanks for your time. Bye.